So today we're going to do another survival perspective 2025 video. This one I think is critical to survival in the future as we move toward economic collapse, a greater depression, and or World War III. Those events could happen one at a time. They could happen simultaneously or in series. And if you look through history, what you notice is great disasters usually come in multiples within a short period of time. And for our purposes, it doesn't really matter which one happens first, because most likely they will feed into each other. So in reality, you have to have basic preparations that suit all of the probable events. And the one preparation that I never hear anybody talk about is disposable equipment, guns, vehicles, clothing, because in a lot of situations, your items will be disposable. And there's two avenues to look at that. One avenue is in 1 year's time under SHTF conditions, your gear, your web gear, your body armor, your clothing, your boots, that'll just rot right off of your back. And you will probably have the need to replace all those items on a yearly basis or in a time shorter than that. So I used to look a lot at Chinese equipment, and I have an extensive amount of Chinese web gear. You can go on eBay and you can buy that for $5 to $20 an item. And if you get into quantity, you can get down to $10, $15 an item, which puts it in the disposable class. When we look at firearms, a lot of the gunsmith specials, parts guns, used guns, shotguns, rifles that people are not interested in, those can be disposable weapons. And what you're going to find in SHTF is you may be in a non-permissive environment. So you're going to need to cache weaponry in areas so you don't have to carry them through checkpoints. You don't have to transport them and increase your risk to yourself. The other issue is if you're operating in a non-permissive environment, one of the best tactics to elude the enemy is to ditch all your gear and equipment because it's disposable, and that eliminates most of the target indicators the enemy's looking for. So for instance, if you're in an operational area and you can't get through the checkpoints with equipment, weapons, things like that, if you have stuff cached in those environments, then you can retrieve it and use it. And if necessary for your E&E strategy, if you need to evade, you can ditch that stuff, blend into an urban environment or whatever. The same thing goes for clothing. You may be in a liberal area and you need clothing that is indicative of liberal individuals so you can blend in. You may be in a rural area where everybody wears hunting jackets, so you might need a hunting jacket. These are the things you need to think about. The other thing is you need disposable equipment, goods, weaponry, food items, things like that, because you might need to do route caches and area operation caches. And these are the things people don't talk about. So when we see the $50 and $100 shotguns that are used and from reliable makers, those are candidates. Older hunting rifles that are used in good condition that people don't want, those are good disposable weapons. You look at the old Morse Nagants. I used to buy a lot of gunsmith specials, and I used to buy a lot of the crack stock, crack handguard guns. And when a Mosin Nagant was $150 to $200 and reconditioned, where the gun was put back to factory new, they were selling 9130s for $33 in volume that needed to be refurbished or had cracked stocks. They were selling Morrison again M44s for $25, $30 a rifle in volume. You could have purchased those at the time and put them in route caches. So today, if you look on the surplus market, the only thing that's really in the lower class range is the 6.5 millimeter Carcano carbines. Some of those range from $150 to $250. Those would be candidates for route caches. Now, on the vehicle side of things, what we need to look at is longevity in being able to use vehicles as a force multiplier in doing combat engineering tasks, survival tasks, homesteading tasks, and also as drop vehicles in non-permissive environments. So when we look at the example, a F-350 one-ton truck in today's market is around $100,000. One area I plan on exploring is the Japanese key trucks. They were made for the Japanese market. The smaller ones have an 800-pound payload. Then you get into a little bit bigger truck that is a one-ton truck. These vehicles weigh under 3,500 pounds down to 2,000 pounds. So they can carry a very high percentage of weight against what the weight of the vehicle is. These vehicles are imported under the 25-year rule. And everybody complains that they're so old, they're junk. Well, I don't know about you, but on my farm, most of my farm trucks, my tractors, my equipment, a lot of my tools are well over 25 years old. So that doesn't bother me. And for instance, in the 90s, I bought a Penn's Gower that was 25 years old under the import rules, and I used that extensively on my farm and my old homestead. And I got over 20 years of service on that vehicle after it was imported, being 25 years old. And with the key trucks, basically it's a Japanese small pickup truck. You can go on YouTube, look them up and see them. It's a type of vehicle you're going to have to maintain yourself, but parts are cheap and plentiful, tires are cheap and plentiful. And you could buy 10 to 15 key trucks for what a F-350 would cost you brand new today. That would give you depth and operate as a force multiplier. You could cross scavenge and maintain a large supply of replacement parts and operate those vehicles for years in an SHTF environment. So these are a few thoughts and considerations. Please share your thoughts. We'll see you on the next video.